Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I have a memory keeping process video for you. I am working in my traveler's notebook, and I'm going to be documenting these pictures from the first day of school. I will primarily be using the Gabby collection from Felicity Jane. All right, I will put you all on fast forward. Let's go. All right, so I have my pictures printed out. I print them at home. I have an Epson PM 400 that I love. It makes it really easy to print. And I have really been enjoying not recoloring my photos. So I don't mind if they clash or if they just don't necessarily go with the papers behind them. I want to keep them kind of true to color. That's just kind of the zone I'm in now. I've done black and white before, and I'll probably go back to it again, but it's a zone I'm in now. So I really love getting to brighten them up a little bit on my phone and then print them out straight from my phone. So I'll make sure to link that below. First thing I did was go through all the journaling cards and find one that kind of went with each picture. So I have twin boys, and ever since they were born, they have a color. Bradley is blue and Austin is green. And so I always try to include that color on those pages with them so that when I'm looking back, even if their names aren't labeled, I will know exactly who was in that picture. So I chose some journaling cards, and I'm going to start on my daughter's page. And at first I was just going to go straight into the traveler's notebook, but then I decided I have a bunch of Felicity Jane paper that is already cut down to traveler's notebook size from past kits, and I decided to work outside of the traveler's notebook and then adhere those pages in. So I'm kind of trying out some different background colors. The light blue was too light for that background for me, and then the pink was too much, so I compromised and I have this white with pink background. It has this pink textured background, and I think it's just perfect for these photos and bringing in just that hint of pink for my daughter. I get a little scattered here. I'm like in the middle of doing the adhesive when I decide, oh wait, I wanted to look at some of the die cuts. So tell me I'm not the only one that kind of scatter crafts. I just got distracted by the die cuts that were sitting there that weren't out yet. So I'm gonna layer this photo just on a couple of pieces of the patterned paper. They are so pretty. I love the florals this month. They're just gorgeous. They're gorgeous. And so I'm just doing a kind of a simple technique, and then I'm going to follow the same formula for my son's pages. I'm adding this little tab so that I can put who her teacher is this year, and then deciding what ephemera that I might want to include. And because that tab is the mustard yellow, I brought in those florals on that side that kind of balance out and bring that yellow over there. And then I love this little black and white heart. I could have like a whole package of just Felicity Jane hearts. That would be awesome. So I will figure out where I want to put that. You'll see I try it like a million places. Sometimes on traveler's notebooks, even though it's a smaller spread, I'm trying to pay really close attention to the details because there's often not as much going on. And so I want all the details to just kind of be perfect. And so I fuss with where I want that heart to go because I just want it to balance really nicely and not be overwhelming. And I like the little pop of black and white, and then I just can't figure out where I want it to go. And it's so funny because the place I end up putting it is like not where I was testing it in the first place. So you can see I'm moving it all around. I even put it to the side because I already has adhesive on it and I just can't decide where I want it to go. I love this Gabby stamp set, and I am obsessed with this label stamp. So I've had label stamps before. I like that this one is not filled in because you can kind of change the shape if you want. I didn't do it on this one, but it's certainly something I'm going to be trying. This is just a spare piece of paper that's going to kind of bring in some more pink where I can stamp the tag, and then I'm going to put in the middle one of the phrases. I love that most of these phrases fit in that label, and so adding that one in, and it says believe in yourself, which is just something I am wishing for my daughter this year. It's going to be a difficult year. It's a virtual school for at least the first 9 weeks, if not longer, and we'll see how it goes. It's interesting so far, to say the least. So I'm very carefully trimming out that label, and then I will just use that to kind of anchor the bottom of that picture, adding some adhesive. And now that that is set, I should have an easier time finding where I want to put that heart. So here comes the heart again, looking around, where do I want to put it? And there. It found its place. So now my sweetheart has a place over the top of my little sweetheart. And then I want to just add a label up at the top. It's going to say 4th grade, and I'm using the alpha stickers that come with the kit, and then I can't decide, do I just want to put 4th? And I try that and I think, no, that looks a little bit silly with the size of that label. So I end up, I'm going to move those over. I grab my Micron pen because I'm just going to hand write in grade, because I figured grade would not fit with the same alpha stickers, and so I will just add that in with my handwriting. And once I adhere those pieces, that page will pretty much be done. I love the little arrow. I wish I had more of those to include on the next pages with my son, with my sons, but it's really cute right there, just a little pointing to the 4th grade. And pretty simple. I didn't need journaling really for this because it's a first day of school picture. We know what's going on once it's labeled. Now I sped up the process of this next part a whole lot because I'm going to follow the same pattern for all 3 kids. I think sometimes we try to kind of reinvent the wheel every time, and I really liked how my daughter's page turned out, so I'm going to do something similar. Again, I'm going through the extra stack of paper that I have from Felicity Jane that's all cut down to Traveler's Notebook size, and I'm just going to layer this picture. It is Bradley, so there's going to be blue for sure, and then I'm picking some of the other pattern paper with the kit to bring in just a little bit more color. I kind of went with the pattern of something lighter right behind the picture and then something darker behind that. That worked well with the first one, and I think it really lets the colors pop and brings out the picture even more. Again, going through all the die cuts, trying to figure out what I want to add. I love that little phrase, I'm worth it, because man, is virtual school a lot of work, but he certainly is worth it. And then I'm going to take that little label and I'm going to do the label as the tab on his case. And so I think it was kind of interesting having it vertical. That's not something I would normally do. So I like the label over there. And then I'm using my new favorite label stamp to add a label for him at the bottom to mark off his grade, which will say 1st grade. And then I'll follow that same pattern of trying to figure out the combination between the alphas, and then I'll just handwrite in grade. So all of them will coordinate really nicely, which works out well when they're in the same Traveler's Notebook. And it's just, I mean, they're in the same book. You know that they're going to be the same year, but I like the consistency in that case. So I'll just adhere all of the pieces down, and then I'll end up taking my attention over to the last picture, which is my other twin son, Austin. Austin's color combo was a little bit trickier. You'll see that in just a second. I'm going to finish up with one last ephemera piece over there. But my son Austin always has green. That's his color. So I had to mix in some green on his paper, but I really wanted to have some of the mustard yellow color that was in this kit. So I was pulling out these florals. And yes, I don't shy away from florals with my boys. I think it's fine. Plus these are Traveler's Notebooks that I look through the most. So I enjoy the colors and the patterns. And so I kind of just go with that. So again, layering the photo, something lighter behind the photo, and then a little pop of that mustard. But the mustard and the green are a little bit of a tricky combo for me. They're all in the same kit, so that gives me confidence that I'm going to be able to pull them together. That's what I love about these kits. But I had a little bit of trouble. I actually just kind of went a little bit more towards the mustard and didn't highlight the green quite as much. I thought about putting it on stamping right onto this sheet, but then what I end up doing is taking that My Journey and adhering it to this label that I've cut out. And so you can see it kind of knocks down that green just a little bit, and it brings it in a little bit more. So I had plenty of the yellow and then a little bit more green down here, and then I'll anchor it at the top. So I will use the different label stamp. This one's a little bit bolder. You'll see here in a second. So I'm going to use that on the same paper that I used on Bradley's background actually. And that will be where it's going to say 1st grade. And when I trim it out, I'm actually going to end up matting it on top of green paper again, because then that'll bring the green up to the top, and that gives me enough repetition, I feel like, to where I have both colors kind of equally represented. As I was finishing up Austin's page here labeling the 1st grade, I decided that I did want to go ahead and add in their names to each page. I did the boys' colors so that I'd be able to tell, but I decided, I have enough of these alpha stickers. I'm going to go ahead and do their names. So Austin's I did up here really carefully. I'm using my tweezers. These, I love the puffy stickers, but they are hard to get on straight. So my tweezers definitely help a lot, and I have no idea how I'd be able to dot an I without these tweezers, because that is the tiniest little dot that you could possibly imagine. So Austin's page is good. I'm going to add Bradley's. Now, Bradley's, I actually ended up with his name. I put it on the photo, and you'll see I'm going to build it backwards actually, because I know I want it lined up there at the end, justified to the right. And it doesn't pop off a lot, but that's okay with me because I wanted the name on there, but I didn't need it to be a focal point. So building backwards here, you can see that this like deep greenish blue color is going to blend ever so slightly. You can still read it, but that way it doesn't bring extra attention to the name. And I'll do the same thing with my daughter's name as well, but this time I do start from the beginning of the name because I want it justified over here to the left of that label. Okay, I'm skipping ahead here to the last photo I had, which is a photo of all three of them together that I really wanted to include. And this time I kind of wanted it to be a square, so I'm actually just using my acrylic block instead of bringing it over to my photo trimmer. Just using my acrylic block to trace out a square, and then I will trim that out. The idea for this last page in my traveler's notebook came as I was playing with the stamp set. I, for real, am in love with that label stamp. So what I'm going to do is actually use it over and over to create a series of labels that will go on this page that will kind of encompass the journaling. And I'm going to use the preview paper. So this is the paper that comes in the front of a Felicity Jane pack of paper, and it has little previews of what all of the prints are going to be, which is awesome. And they also happens to be the perfect size to print out or to stamp out all of these labels. So I am kind of obsessed with how this worked out, and I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to be doing tonight, is stamping 1,000,000 labels out of my scraps, because how adorable are these? That one got a little bit crooked, but man, they ended up so cute. So I'm just going to trim them all out and use them on this paper. Before I do that though, I figured it might be easier stamping while they're still attached to this big sheet. So I'm using a variety of the stamp sets. It says you can do hard things. Today was, the answer to that was really hard. Virtual school, not easy, really hard. That's okay. It's safe for them and we're going to make it through, but it is certainly not easy. So I have a lot of respect to the teachers that are really putting it all out there. I know they must just sign off at the end of the day absolutely exhausted, because I definitely am. So I love all the phrases for this month. They are absolutely perfect for this time of year and this season that we're in. So I'm just using as many as possible. Some of them get a little bit off, but that's the plus of stamping not directly on your project, because that one gets messed up. So I can just stamp it again on another label, and that way it works out perfect. Believe in yourself, perfect. And I think I have one more, maybe not, maybe one more phrase. Yep, one more phrase right there. And it says my journey. So then I will end up trimming all of these out, and I won't make you watch me. And I actually use a hole punch to get those corners. If you have those little indented corners, a hole punch is a great way to really trim those quickly instead of just fussy cutting on your own. Of course, that one is a little bit messed up, but now I have this stack of labels that I'm going to use to embellish the page that is going to have all three of my kiddos on it. And really from this point, once they're all trimmed out, it's just about playing with how they're going to sit on the page. And that's kind of balancing where there are going to be words. And there's a couple that I definitely wanted to pair up. The today was really hard was one for sure that needed to go together. So, and I have some blank ones that are just the pattern paper. So I'm going to kind of mix and match where they're all going to end up, but I love the look. And so I cannot wait to just create a huge pile of these on my paper. And we'll just skip ahead. Let me show you how this one ends up. I even was able to cut one of the labels in half. And yes, it ends up being a very full page, but I just fell in love with all the labels. So I wanted to use them all. No big deal. And that is going to be it. This ended up being 4 layouts, so thank you so much for sticking with me through this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I have linked supplies down below, so make sure to check those out, as well as the link to my email newsletter that goes out every couple of weeks. I hope that you have a fabulous day, that your school year is starting out nice and strong, and as always, keep it creative.